Welcome back to Sunday School.
Good morning.
Good morning. Today is our last Sunday of plants and soil and about creation.
Yep.
And we are going to talk about the parable of the sower.
Okay. Yeah.
And so,
should we sing first?
Yeah, let's sing first.
All right. So this is the last verse of our creation song. We've kind of done them out of order, but that's okay. Anyways, this week's verse is God created the plants and trees. Okay. So for actions, what do we want to do?
I don't know, tree, maybe like this. Plants.
Plants.
Maybe like
plants and trees.
Let's
plants.
do it.
Let's do it. Okay.
All right.
All right, here we go. So God created the plants and trees, plants and trees, plants and trees. God created the plants and trees on day 3. Three.
I always do 3 this week.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the third verse this week. So, do we want to do all of them, or
should we save it for the end?
Let's save it for the end. Yeah, we'll save it for the end.
All right.
Okay.
So to start out today, we are going to talk about gardening.
Yes.
Since the parable of the sower. So, Spencer, do you like to garden?
I do like to garden. Am I good at it? Not always, but I do like to.
I think that's normal.
Yeah.
And what do you like to plant?
Well, let's see. Last year I planted kind of a lot of random things, but I like to plant tomatoes. I kind of do what I call a salsa garden because I like to make homemade salsa. So I plant tomatoes, peppers, several different kinds of peppers, onions.
You do plant onions?
Yeah, I'm gonna try it this year.
Nice.
I've done it a couple years before, but and then I did eggplant. That was kind of an exciting thing to do.
What did you make with your eggplant?
I made eggplant parmesan.
Yeah.
So you batter it and fry it and you layer it all up with tomato sauce and
eggplant
cheese.
Is delicious when you fry it.
Yes. Yes. I think anything's delicious when you fry it. Yes.
Pretty much. Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I plant usually. What about you? Do you garden?
With this last summer, we attempted lots of gardens and we kind of failed.
Okay.
But what we do well at is like we have a little deck off of our dining room, and we have like planters that kind of line our deck railing.
Yep.
And little stuff, manageable stuff is what I can handle. And we did peppers.
Okay.
And John loves to experiment with super hot peppers.
Ooh.
Like super hot. So we had like all of the different getting hotter and hotter peppers. No, I won't touch them. In fact, I hardly can go near them. If I smell them, my eyes will start to water.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
And Michael also likes very hot things. He's all in to try it. So that was kind of fun to kind of test that out.
Yeah.
But also, anything small like that, little tomatoes,
Maybe herbs would be a good thing to try.
Yes, we have done some of that.
Yeah.
Cilantro.
Yep.
Love cilantro. So that's another.
Yeah, I did that as well. Lots of basil and cilantro and herbs is good. Yeah, so that's what I garden.
That's awesome.
Good.
All right. So let's read our story.
All right.
Our story today comes from Mark chapter 4, verses 1 through 9. So Jesus was beside the lake when he began to teach. So many people surrounded him that he climbed into a boat there on the lake. He sat in the boat while the crowd stayed on the shore.
He spoke to them in parables. He said, "Listen to this. A farmer went out to scatter seed. Some seed fell on the path, and the birds came and ate it.
Other seed fell on rocky ground where the soil was shallow. Those sprouted immediately, but when the sun came up, it scorched the plants. They dried up because they had no roots.
Other seed fell among thorny plants. The thorny plants grew and choked the seeds, and they produced nothing either.
Other seed fell into good soil and bore fruit. As it grew, the seed produced a lot of fruit. Each new place it grew produced more than the last."
Jesus said, "Are you listening? Pay attention."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is all about gardening, right?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. And how seed can be all over the place.
Yeah.
Trees drop seed, flowers drop seed. This is how you end up with a big forest, all of that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And all kinds of soil can either produce something to grow or not.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep,
That's
true.
kind of funny thinking about seeds I had. So in my garden there were some tomatoes that had been planted, and some of them had fallen into the ground and rotted, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The seeds were left, and then the next spring, those same tomato plants grew out into the garden, and I hadn't planted them.
Wow.
It wasn't what I had bought. So
There you go.
yeah, it's kind of interesting. Seeds, yeah.
Yeah.
If they have good soil, they'll grow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
So,
so
we're
here
gonna
you
call
have
it-
this story here for the parable of the sower. And
Oh, we have this one, good soil.
mm-hmm.
I think that's what it says.
And then this one just a little more detailed, and it kind of shows all the different kinds of soil.
Yep. Good. Okay. So why is it important that the sower planted in the good soil? I think that's kind of
So that it would grow.
Yeah.
You know? The tricky thing, parables are tricky because parables are not telling you exactly what is meant for the story.
right.
It is kind of like a metaphor, like we would talk about it in the English class now, or giving you a way to think about it. And there's not always the exact right answer because Jesus didn't tell you the answer to the parable.
Right.
We have to figure that out as we go, or as we think about it. So people can have lots of different ways to think about these stories. And this story in particular, I find very interesting because I think someone could think, well, if I don't have good soil, if I'm not perfect, then I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough for God or for being, maybe if they think about future, this isn't something we usually talk about at our church, but I won't go to heaven if I'm not perfect, you know?
Right.
This idea. And I think maybe even some churches might interpret this story that way, that there is a certain way to be and a certain human to be good soil.
Yeah.
And I would have to say that I disagree with that. I don't see this story as that. I think that life is all kinds of soil, and seed goes all kinds of places.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that you just said your tomato grew back.
Right.
And who knows if it was the soil or the, how that happened. That's part of the mystery, right?
Right.
And I think that good soil can be all the things that we do to create a space that allows us to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be limited to the things that we sometimes think of and categorize things as, And expanding our mind and what that looks like can be exciting and more truthful, in my opinion. If that makes sense?
Yeah, I think so. Just trying to think of if I need to, or what to add, how to add it, but I think you said it so well. I can't. So how can we be gardeners? Maybe doing some weeding and pruning in our classroom here at church to make it an even more beautiful place for us all.
So,
how can we make it more, maybe we should change the question, maybe make it a more welcoming place for all?
Yeah. I think what our role there is, and maybe that's what it speaks to me about this creating soil, is that in that is we need to be able to grow and change.
Yes.
So right now, what I am thinking about is the ideas around Black Lives Matter and the opposite of that being white privilege, and how being white has allowed me things that I didn't even realize, and being open and honest and being able to talk about that in a safe place so that I can, in this soil, grow, right? So maybe good soil is creating a space that allows us to be safe in wondering, in questioning, in being wrong, in being right, and being able to ask questions and being able to grow. So maybe that good soil is all about the space that we create. And I hope that here at church, that is a space that is available to all our kids in Sunday school and for our adults, that they can wonder things and question things and ask hard questions and wonder out loud and sometimes be messy about it, right? And but be able to be in a safe place that people still care, people still nourish that space so that you can grow. Maybe that's what this is about.
Yep, I like that. I think sometimes, we worry so much about whether we're right or we're wrong, or, sometimes we don't say anything then if we're so afraid to be right or so afraid to be wrong. We don't feel comfortable and able to talk about things. So yeah, I think you're right that creating a good, safe place of good soil to ask questions and sow those seeds of learning and thought.
Yep, exactly. I agree.
As a bad metaphor, but yes,
yeah, I agree.
Sometimes it's hard to color and think. Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, it is. It's a lot. I wonder, are you guys thinking and coloring, or? Yeah. I'll remind you that if you would like to send us pictures of all of your coloring, whether I have seen someone who has put it into a 3-ring binder like ours, all their pictures, and it's kind of become a book for them, or if you hang it in your room, or if you keep it in a stack in a pile of stuff that eventually gets thrown out, that's okay too. Yeah. This is about having the experience together, and if you like keeping it, great, and if you don't, that's okay too. All right. Let's sing all of the verses.
Okay. Ooh, this is going to be a challenge here. Okay, so we'll start with fish and birds, animals and man, rested from his works, and then plants and trees.
We did plants and trees because apparently there's a lot of wind in our story.
Yes, I guess so. Oh, South Dakota. We live in South Dakota. There's wind here everywhere. Okay, so fish and birds. All right. God created the fish and birds, fish and birds, fish and birds. God created the fish and birds on day 5. God created animals and man, animals and man, animals and man. God created animals and man on day 6. God rested from their works, from their works, from their works. God rested from their works on day 7. God created plants and trees, plants and trees, plants and trees. God created plants and trees on day 3. There we go. Oh. Yeah, we have to slow down a little bit to get the plants to move.
to move around.
To move, yeah.
Oh, very good. All right. Good. Let's come to a time of prayer. Join me and let's take a deep breath in and blow it out. Wise Jesus, thank you for seeds that grow and for the fruit that they bring. We want the goodness of our lives to grow too. Teach us how to nurture it. And all God's children said, Amen. Have a good week.